Hi, good morning, everyone. Before I start, could I just get a show of hands really quickly? Who here is a security researcher or on the research side of things? Okay, and who here is from, who is an IoT vendor or supplier? Okay, cool, we have a good mix. Because I'm hoping today to talk about both sides of the story. So first of all, my name is Colleen Wong. I am the founder of TechSixtyFour. My product is called my Gator Watch. It's what I'm wearing on my wrist here. It was about 2015 when I was with my two newborn kids. I was out in a farm park and I saw a mom running around looking everywhere for her 5-year-old or 6-year-old boy. It was at that moment in time I thought, why don't we have a product that can allow us to stay better connected with our younger children? And I didn't like the idea of giving younger children a smartphone. And when I researched and talked to hundreds and thousands of parents, I realized there was a big problem. No parent out there wanted to give their younger child a smartphone. And so without any technical work experience or education, I learned each and every day, how do I create a wearable? How do I create this product that's going to solve this problem that I myself believe in and that I am aware of? So I launched my Gator Watch in 2016. Everyone was excited about it. You know, parents were loving it. I was signing on retailers like John Lewis and various other retailers. You know, things were going at a very good pace and I was managing everything as well as I possibly could. In September 2017, I received a vulnerability disclosure report from the Norwegian Consumer Council, the NCC. It was the first time I had ever received such a report. And for me, it was so detailed and so informative. My first reaction, funny enough, was, wow, this is amazing. You know, this would have cost me a fortune, you know? And so I was super excited. I sent the whole report to my tech team straight away, and I'm like, guys, read this, get working on this. And I mentioned to you before, I don't have any technical experience, you know, or education. And so one of the first things, you know, that I did, you know, before I sold the first product was I actually looked into a bug bounty. I signed up for a bug bounty program. You know, I had done the research, and because as a startup, you know, you just don't have money. And so I offered the hackers a kudos, a high five. Yeah, certainly that's not that interesting, right? But I certainly did not know how to manage a bug bounty program. And it was at that time when I was learning about bug bounties that I had learned about penetration tests. But I also learned about the costs of penetration tests. So back to this point here, I was extremely excited. And my team was working, you know, around the clock trying to fix this. I had then reached out to my whole network and just to say, you know, is anyone in cybersecurity? Can someone please help? I met a fellow founder who did start a business in cybersecurity, and he basically met me the next day and said, look, I'm here to help. In about 30 days' time, less than just shy of a month, I was on Oxford Street. I remember this very clearly because I was heading to a meeting. And I got a call. It was from the BBC. And they said to me, we're going to be, you know, doing this report tomorrow. What do you have to say? It's going to be from the NCC saying that, you know, we've hacked your watch. I cannot even begin to tell you the mix of emotions that I had that very day. You know, I stood on that spot on Oxford Street and I could not even move. First, I was scared. You know, if these vulnerabilities were made public, what are these malicious hackers going to do? What if they then hacked in? What is going to happen to my customers? You know, that was my number one thought. And then anger. You know, we're almost done with our fixes. We had a few more days left. You know, I begged the BBC reporter. I said, please, don't do this. You know, my customers are families. And they said, well, sorry, it's going up tomorrow.
So I went home. I again reached out to all my networks, and it's a good thing that I belong to many, many networks, and I didn't have a PR crisis team, I did not have a legal team. I did not know, I had my link to the cybersecurity team, but I reached out to more cybersecurity people. I said, look, I need help. Whoever is willing to help, I need it. Everyone came to help me. And to this day, I am forever grateful to each and every one. There's a few of you here in this room, and I am forever grateful to those of you who came and helped me, that very evening. So the next day, all the headlines were out. Child tracker easily hacked. Don't buy this product for your child. One of the guys who I had met had told me, after that incident, look, we have something called this IoT Security Foundation Conference. Why don't you come as my guest, free of charge, so you can learn more about this space. So we make sure that this doesn't happen to you again. So of course I took up that offer. And so it was 2 years ago, I was sitting where you were, and I was listening to the keynote or the intro to the conference. My watch popped up on the screen. And I still remember, the guy who was speaking was saying, these are the kind of products out there that we shouldn't be buying because they're dangerous. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is not the whole story. Back to what I did with my customers after the BBC and other newspapers actually reported. I had read, in the media, you read all about the hacks and how businesses respond. So I thought, as a parent myself, I'm going to respond. I'm going to go out to my customers before the report comes out, and I'm going to say, this is exactly what has happened. This is what the NCC said to me. This is how I reacted. I said the same thing to all my investors. To my customers, I said, look, if you want a refund, I'll give it to you. If you have any questions, I am here around the clock to answer your questions. I had 3 people ask for a refund out of thousands. I spoke to a gentleman last night who had told me that actually 60% of startups who get hacked die within a year. So I did something right. I'm still here after 4 years. So I was open and honest with my customers and to my investors. I did, however, lose all my retailers as a result of that BBC report. They did not want to even hear my side of the story. They did not I called them 100 times. They're like, we don't care. We don't want to hear it. So the reason why I'm here, and I feel really, really fortunate to be given an opportunity to speak here today, because there is my side of the story as well. And there's a lot of things I've actually learned over the course of the 4 years, between the camp of the cybersecurity researchers and the camp of the IoT vendors. There's a huge gap in between, and I'm hoping that by sharing my side of the story today, that we can bridge this gap. Both parties want the same outcome. We want a more secure and safe product for the end user. So why are we not working together to make that happen? And I promise you, we are still not working together all the time to make that happen. Earlier this year, a vulnerability disclosure was sent to me by email. Okay? So after 4 years, I'm all prepped. I have a vulnerability disclosure policy on my website. I know how to react quickly. And I always have been super appreciative because, again, as a startup, I just don't have the money, to pay for tons of tests and anything like that. And this is what part of the email had said. So the part for me that I don't understand, and I'm here to ask today as well, for all those researchers who are here, for me, when I get this, that same panic attack I got on Oxford Street happens again. Why does this information have to be made public? It's children's data, family data, and in my vulnerability policy on my website, I say that we will fix things within 90 days. I believe Mark was saying before that, that's kind of standard policy. We do it much quicker. and I know that. My team are on it. We're more scared of anything happening to our customers. We care so much about our customers that in reality, it's not the 30 days. It's like we're going to do it as fast as we can. But why disclose it publicly? Why make me feel like, oh my gosh, you're going to do something next to, harm my end users? For me, I just cannot allow that to happen. And so what had happened was I asked the security researcher, I said, please, give me a proof of concept. Help me out. I care, but I don't know how to fix it. Quickly. I can try. No proof of concept. I ask again. No proof of concept. And so for me, again, I'm just trying to understand why the researcher cannot send me the proof of concept. I'm here, I'm responding. I responded within 24 hours. I said, I'm here to fix it. Please help me. At the end of the day, my team, without a proof of concept, fixed the issue within 48 hours. We had a few iterations of it. We ended up fixing it in 48 hours. And the researcher, did say that we did fix it in 48 hours. However, stated also, publicly that you should never buy these watches because they're bad and they're insecure. Sorry, I keep pressing the wrong button. So here are a few things that I've learned over the course of my 4 years. And I just wanted to see if, as both sides as researchers, and IoT vendors, how both parties can work together in these areas so that we can become better friends and not be enemies. So we can actually protect the end user as we all want to do. Vulnerability disclosure timelines. I completely agree that a vulnerability disclosure policy is a must. And I'm still shocked, actually, that so few people have done it. I've been very fortunate to have been at these events. I have an amazing security team who I work with, who ensure that we do this. But again, let's be, from both sides, let's be reasonable. When you get a vulnerability, fix it. 90 days, we can do it quicker than that. If it's a big problem, fix it, top priority. And it should be top priority. But as, a security researcher as well, don't threaten, is my suggestion, If the IoT vendor is responding, help them. Give them the time they need to fix the product. Using the press as a weapon, gosh, that day when the BBC called me, it really felt like they just shot me in the stomach. And it really can be used, I think, in such a way that it doesn't help either party. And the worst part, it actually screws the consumer at the end, right? Because what does this headline do for the end user? Except for the fact that you're publishing something out to the public that the malicious guys can take a hold of, can make use of. Why would we do that? So please, I ask the researchers here, please, when you use the press, do it in a way that makes sense for the end user. If you want to call out the IoT security guys for not, responding, for not fixing their product, do it in another way. And do it if they are not responding. Don't know versus don't care. A good friend I know had, told me about these two camps, and I truly believe it as well. I know, as Mark had said earlier, there are a lot of IoT vendors out there who don't care. They will not respond to you. They will threaten you with legal action. They will say, oh, it only affects 1,000 customers. No biggie. Whatever excuse they come up with, they don't care. But it's very obvious if they don't care. But then there's the rest of us. We care. I care deeply. I'm a mom. I care that my children and other children's data are not leaked. I just don't know. So when I respond to you within 24 hours, know that I care. when I say, please help me with a proof of concept. Know that I care very deeply. Help us. Help all the ones who actually don't know, because we need your help. A lot of us founders in the startup space, we are here because we found a solution to a problem. It doesn't mean that we're experts in security. None of us are. And that's why we need your help. Communication, it's like any marriage. If we don't talk and we don't understand where we're coming from, it's just gonna break down. And so I think these conferences are amazing. I would not have met all the cybersecurity people if it wasn't for conferences like these. And we just have to keep talking to each other, and not use legal action or the media to communicate what you want to say. Pick up the phone, talk, be nice. And I'm talking this from both sides. I am willing to be out there, have a conversation, work out the problems, and find out more information. And I hope it goes the other way as well. Costs. You guys all know, being a startup, we don't have costs to do pen tests every single month. I'm not even sure if the bigger companies have the capability to do that. So when I was first starting off, without even earning any revenue yet, this was not something that I could contemplate. And I've heard before from some people, you should do a pen test from like one of these big companies. But if I spend all that money and, on that, I don't have a company left. So again, please take into consideration as a researcher what the startup costs involved are. And again, so help us when we ask for help. I work with an amazing team now who does cybersecurity for startups. And I do hope that many more people will support them and other similar kinds of companies, because that's what we need. And be compassionate and understanding. Let's work together. It's back on the same kind of track. We shouldn't be hating each other. We shouldn't be, just feeling like, well, at that moment when I was at the IoT event in 2017, it shouldn't be like we should never buy these, products because they're all crap. It's not the case. It's not always the case. There's good and bad. Let's be understanding of that. Be compassionate about it. We've worked really hard to get to where we are. We all have families. We all, have feelings. So now I'm ready to build my next product, and I'm confident as ever. Security by design is something I've learned from all of you here. We're starting from the beginning. I met an amazing guy at the first conference. He has a security background. He's going to help us. He's going to hopefully be our new CTO. He's going to help us design it with security in mind from day one. Cybersecurity team. I already have one in place. We do annual pen tests, and it's something that we will continue to do and continue to monitor. And I think that should be a must for any company. Vulnerability disclosure, policy, and contact. We have that in place. I want to be here. I want to encourage other companies, do this. Because the more as vendors that we do this, the less upset the researchers will be, and the less that they'll feel that we don't care, because we do. So thank you so much for being here. I do hope that we can all work together to create safer products for the end users.